Fede Álvarez, you can tell that he is a fan of the Alien franchise and he really wants to bring it all, and this movie just felt like a love letter to the Alien franchise. What is up, guys and Alien fans? Welcome back to my channel. This is OCD Movie Reviews. My name is On the Brinkat, and today I'm going to review one of my most anticipated horror films of the year. It's finally here. Today I'm going to review Alien Romulus. This is the latest science fiction horror film that's the latest installment in the Alien franchise. This movie is a prequel to Aliens. This movie takes place basically throughout the ending of the first Alien to the beginning of Alien, so it's definitely in between those two films. And this movie is directed by Fede Álvarez, who directed the remake of Evil Dead and Don't Breathe. And this movie stars Cailee, Spaeny, Isabela, Merced, David Jonsson, Archie, Renaux, Spike Fearn, and Aileen. While scavenging the deep ends of a deserted space station, a group of young space colonists come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe. So like I said, this movie is a prequel that's set between the ending of the first Alien and the beginning of Alien. So this movie's in between those two films, and I'm not gonna lie guys, when it comes to the Alien franchise, most of the movies I really did like, especially Alien and Aliens. These are one of the most iconic movies of all time. Alien is one of the best science fiction horror films of all time. It's honestly still my favorite in this franchise. I know a lot of people think Aliens is the best, and I love Aliens, but I always say the first Alien is my favorite. It always holds a special place to me. But Aliens is definitely one hell of a sequel, and it is one of the best science fiction action films of all time. Both of those two films are fantastic. So I'm excited that this movie is a prequel that's set in between those two films. So when it comes to the Alien franchise, I enjoyed most of the films. So of course, I was excited for this film because Fede Álvarez is directing it. Now, if you don't know this director, he directed a remake of Evil Dead that came out in 2013, which I really did enjoy. I think it's one of the best horror remakes that I've ever seen. It's so much fun. And also, he directed Don't Breathe, which I think is one of the most intense horror films that I have ever seen, still to this day. So if he can tackle on the intensity of Don't Breathe, I'm pretty sure he can do intensity with the Alien films. And I gotta say, guys, I was pumped for this film. The trailers really did impress me. I wanted this to be one of the better Alien films since the first two movies, and this movie absolutely gave me that. Guys, it's easy to say for me, Alien Romulus is definitely the best Alien film since Alien and Aliens. Like, this can definitely be in my top 3 favorite Alien films in the franchise. This movie was a total blast for me. I just want to first talk about Fede Álvarez's direction with this film because holy shit. You can tell that this guy is a fan of the Alien movies because he wanted to make this movie as bright as possible. And when it comes to the direction, the cinematography of this movie, it looks fantastic. It looks very freaking engaging. It actually looks like you're actually in a real film set throughout the movie. Yes, there's visual effects, but this movie is also practical, and you can really freaking tell. There are some CGI special effects in this movie, and it's there when it's needed, but when you see the xenomorphs and stuff, you can tell they are practical. There are people in costumes. It's very old school, like the first two Alien movies, and seeing the xenomorphs once again on the big screen look absolutely fantastic. And seriously, for the first time in a while, I was scared of these xenomorphs. I felt feared. And that's what Fede Álvarez is going for, basically going back to the roots of the first Alien film, where these things are scary as shit. And I've got to say, guys, seeing the xenomorphs once again on the big screen is fantastic. They look great, they look terrifying, and when they're on screen, you're on the edge of your seat the entire freaking time. When you see the xenomorphs in action, they look great once again, and it's good to see them back on the big screen, especially in IMAX. See this film in IMAX, please, because that's the best way you can see Alien Romulus in IMAX, because this movie looks breathtaking in IMAX. Even just the way the movie looks. This movie looks beautiful, like the space scenes and all that stuff, and just the set design. The movie looks like you're definitely in those in-between of Alien and Aliens. You feel like you're still in that universe. But let's also talk about the characters in the film, because I also like the characters in the film. Especially when it comes to Cailee Spaeny in the film. Man, she's having a big year this year. She is great in Civil War, and she's even great in this movie as the main lead. You definitely root for her character the entire time, and she's not trying to copy Ellen Ripley. She's her own character, and I thought she does a really good job in the film, especially when it comes to the action scenes and the scary scenes. Her acting is really freaking well done. I remember her from Pacific Rim Uprising saying, man, this girl better get better in movies, because I find her so generic in that movie. And now when it comes to Civil War in this movie, I think she's starting to get better, and she's definitely starting to rise up for me. She's a great main lead, but I gotta say, the one that stole this movie for me is David Jonsson as Andy. To me, this is one of the most interesting characters out of the entire film. I'm not going to spoil his character because it goes in ways that you're not going to expect, so all I gotta say is that David Jonsson is fantastic in this film. Best character out of the entire film, has a really good chemistry with Spaeny in the film. They have a very interesting relationship in the film, and there are some parts with his character where I'm like, okay, David Jonsson, be in more films, because he's just fantastic in the film, and he's my favorite character out of this entire movie. The rest of the crew members are good as well. Isabela Merced, especially, is great in this film as the screaming girl in the film. She doesn't do much in the film, except being the screaming girl, but she actually does a really good job. You feel believed with her character. But each of the crew members, you definitely root for them to survive the situation, well, except for one person, and when you see this film, you'll find out who I want, like, yeah, okay, I'm okay with this guy dying. But the rest of the crew members, you definitely root for them to live in this film. You felt scared with them in the situation they're in. And I thought this crew does a really good job, and I think that's what's great about the first two Alien films. The crew members, you like their characters. This movie brings that all back. Is this movie scary? Yes, there are a lot of terrifying scenes in this movie. This movie is definitely don't breathe in space in a really good way. There are some really intense and thrilling scenes in this movie, but there's also some really fun scenes as well. This movie has that right balance of a summer blockbuster movie, and I gotta say, the scares in the film is very well done. Seeing these xenomorphs in action, you feel like you're on the edge of your seat the entire time, and the movie doesn't hold back. It gets straight to the point. You introduce these crew members, you go to this deserted space station, and things start happening, and you're definitely on board with it. I love that this film is trying to be a little old school, you know, trying to be as practical as possible, and this film does a really great job of that. And I gotta say, Fede Álvarez, you can tell that he is a fan of the Alien franchise, and he really wants to bring it all, and this movie just felt like a love letter to the Alien franchise. Yes, this movie has Easter eggs from Alien and Aliens, but even movies like Prometheus and Alien Covenant and the rest of the Alien films, if you're a big Alien fan, you're gonna notice a lot of great Easter eggs in this film. But do you have to see the first two Alien films or Prometheus or Alien Covenant linked to this film? In my opinion, I wouldn't say so. This movie definitely stands on its own. It helps more if you do see them because you'll notice some Easter eggs, but what I like about this movie is that it stands on its own. Even though it's a movie that's a prequel that's set in between the ending of the first Alien and Aliens, you can definitely feel like it's still its own film. Actually, this film felt like a fan film basically because of Fede Álvarez. You can tell that he's a fan of the Alien franchise and he wants to make his own version of an Alien film, and I thought he did it absolutely right. This film is definitely an edge-of-your-seat thriller from start to finish. You're definitely invested within it. This film does have flaws. Yes, it does. Every film has flaws. But I gotta say, I'm just gonna talk about my flaw of the movie, and there are some flaws where I feel like it's more people's flaws of depending how they view it. So, my flaw of the movie, there are some visual effects in this movie that look a little bit unfinished. There's one specific effect. If you watch this movie, you know what I'm talking about. There's a certain effect in this movie where I can see where they're going for, but you can tell there are some moments where you're like, yeah, this looks a little bit unfinished. It didn't distract me or anything, but you can definitely notice it. Now, let's talk about some two problems that I feel like people are going to either like it or hate it. The third act of this movie. Again, no spoilers, this is a non-spoiler review, you're safe with me. But the third act did what I would say Alien and Aliens done, where you think it's going to be over, but there's another ending to it. And I thought those two movies done it really well. This movie, in my opinion, it does it very, very well. I like the third act of this movie. It's actually one of the most terrifying parts of the movie. But I can tell there's going to be some people that are going to like this third act and don't like this third act. It depends on your point of view of this third act. To me, I really like this third act, but I can see this third act can be very divisive for some people. And also, the first act of the film leading up to the Xenomorph stuff, it is a little bit slow to get going, but to me, I like the first act because it pays tribute to the first Alien movie, where it takes its time introducing the characters, introducing the mission and all that stuff. So, I'm completely fine, but like I said with the other flaw, people are going to say maybe the first act is a little bit slow to get going, but if you're fans of the Alien franchise, you know that the first movie is slow to get to it, but it's trying to introduce the characters and trying to introduce the mission they're going, so I completely understand that this movie is trying to be like a tribute to the first Alien film, and I can see what Fede Álvarez is doing with this film, and I like the first act, but it really depends on your point of view. But guys, overall guys, Alien Romulus is easy to say this is the best Alien film since the first two movies. This movie is an edge of your seat, fun, horror thriller film that has so many great things to the table. The visual effects for it, the most part, look good. The xenomorphs look absolutely fantastic once again. And the characters of the film, Cailee Spaeny is great. David Jonsson completely stole this movie for me. The crew members in the film does an excellent job in this film. You root for them to survive in the situation they're in. This movie's terrifying. This movie's intense. This movie is brutal as well. There are some really good brutal scenes in this film. And I gotta say, Fede Álvarez directed this movie very well. And if he directs another Alien film after this, I'm definitely on board with it, because he knows how to direct an Alien movie so freaking well. So guys, absolutely in my opinion, go see Alien Romulus on the biggest screen possible. Definitely in IMAX in my opinion. So yeah, coincidentally for my rating, go see Alien Romulus on the big screen. This is actually my favorite horror film of the year, in between Long Legs. I think those two films in my opinion are pretty tied, because I love both of those films very, very much. So guys, that is my review for Alien Romulus. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite film in the Alien franchise, and what do you think of Alien Romulus? Let me know in the comments below if you like the film, hate the film, or you thought it's okay. Make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below, keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel now for my latest movie reviews and other movie related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day.